हरिनाम संकीर्तन की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की, निताई गौर प्रेमानंद। All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं
नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं
नरं चैवं नरोत्तमं
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
सरस्वतीं व्यासं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
ततो जयमुदीरयेत्।
ततो जयमुदीरयेत्।
नष्टप्रायेषु
प्रायेषु अवधेषु
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
भगवती उत्तम श्लोके
भगवति उत्तमश्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिके।
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिके।
So, reading from Canto 5, Chapter 1, the activities of Maharaj Priyavrata, and sloka number 16. Is that one? Is that one? The top line? Oh, it's top line. मुक्तो अपि तावत् बिभ्रयत् स्वदेहं आरब्धम् आश्ननम् अभिमानशून्य यथानुभूतं प्रतीयात निद्रः किं त्वम् अन्य देहाय गुणान् भुङ्क्ते मुक्तो अपि तावत् बिभर्ति स्वदेहम् आरब्धम् आशनम् अभिमानशून्यः यथानुभूतं प्रतीयात निद्रः किं त्वम् अन्य देहाय गुणान् भुङ्क्ते मुक्तो अपि तावत् बिभ्रयत् स्वदेहम् आरब्धम् आशन्य अभिमानशून्यः यथानुभूतं प्रतीयात निद्रः त्वम् अन्य देहाय गुणान् भुङ्क्ते
मुक्तोऽपि तावत् बिभ्रयत् स्वदेहम् आराधमर्शन् अभिमानशून्यः यथानुभूतं प्रतीयात निद्रः अन्यदेहाय गुणान् भुङ्क्ते
मुक्तो अपि तावत् बिभ्रयत् स्वदेहम् आरब्धमासन् अभिमानशून्यः आनुभूतं प्रतीयात निद्रा अन्य देहाय गुणान् भुङ्क्ते
मुक्तो अपि तावत् बिभ्रयत् स्वदेहम् आराधमर्शन् अभिमानशून्यः आनुभूतं प्रतीयात निद्रः अन्यदेहाय गुणान् भुङ्क्ते मुक्तो अपि
Mukto Mataji.
Mukto pitavad vipriyat swadeham. Aratam ashtam abhimana shunyam. Anubhutam pratyata nidraha. Panyadehaya gunanavante. Mukto pitavad vipriyat swadeham. Brahmasman abhimana shunyaha. Anubhutam pratyata nidraha. Panyadehaya gunanavante.
Muktaha. Word to word meaning. Muktaha. A liberated person. Api. Even. Tavat. So long. Viprayat. Must maintain. Swadeham. His own body. Arabdham. Obtained as a result of past activity. Ashnan. Accepting. Abhimana shunya. Without erroneous conceptions. Yatha. As. Anubhutam. What was perceived. Pratiyat nidra. One who has awakened from sleep. Kintu. But. Anya dehaya. For another material body. Gunan. The material qualities. Na. Never. Gunte. Enjoys. Translation offered by His Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Even if, please just follow. Even if one is liberated, he nevertheless accept the body he has received according to his past karma. Without misconceptions, however, he regards his enjoyment and suffering due to that karma the way an awakened person regards a dream he had while sleeping. He thus remains steadfast and never works to achieve another material body under the influence of three modes of material nature. The difference between a liberated and conditioned soul is that the conditioned soul is under the concept of bodily life, whereas a liberated person knows that he is not the body, but a spirit, different from the body. Priyavrata might have thought that although a conditioned soul is forced to act according to the laws of nature, why should he, who was far advanced in spiritual understanding, accept the same kind of bondage and impediments to spiritual advancement? To answer this doubt, Lord Brahma informed him that even those who are liberated do not resent accepting in the present body the result of their past activities. While sleeping, one may dream many unreal things, but when he awakens, he disregards them and makes a progress in actual life. Similarly, a liberated person, one who has completely understood that he is not the body, but a spirit soul, disregards past activities performed in ignorance and performs his present activities in such a way that they produce no reactions. This is described in Bhagavad Gita 3.9. Yajnarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. If one performs activities for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Yajna Purusha, his work does not produce reactions. Whereas karmis who act for themselves are bound by the reactions of their work. A liberated person, therefore, does not think about whatever he has ignorantly done in the past. Instead, he acts in such a way that he will not produce another body by fruitive activities, as clearly mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 14.26. Mamachoyo abhicharena bhakti Mamacheyo abhicharena Bhakti yogena sevate Sagunan samtiyatan Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. 14.26 Bhagavad Gita. Regardless of what we have done in our past lives, if we engage ourselves in unalloyed devotional service to the Lord in this life, we will always be situated in Brahma Bhuta, liberated state, free from reactions, and will not be obliged to accept another material body. Tvekta deham punarjanma naiti mamiti swarjuna. Bhagavad Gita 4.9. After giving up the body, one who has acted in that way does not accept another material body, but instead goes back home, back to Godhead. Om Jnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manopistam Savitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamahim Dadati Swaharantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Uttarakamanam Sri Guru Vaishnavam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sargana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Karijana Saritam Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Sargana Vitam Sri Vishakam Vikancham He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Govinda Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Taptakanchana Gaurani Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Manchakarvatarunyasya Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Even if one is liberated, he nevertheless accepts the body he has received according to his past karma. Without misconceptions, however, he regards his enjoyment and suffering due to that karma the way an awakened person regards a dream he had while sleeping. He thus remains steadfast and never works to achieve another material body under the influence of Gunan, three modes of material nature. So welcome to our Sunday Feast program. So we are reading from Canto 5, just started now, chapter number 1, the activities of Maharaj Priyavrata. So before Canto 5, what does it come? Canto 4. Very simple. So what did we discuss? Because Canto 4, I think we discussed for a long period of time, right? What did we discuss in Canto 4? Pracheta. So we started with the son Swayambhu Manu, and Shatrupa had 3 daughters and 2 sons, right? Yes? Yes or no? Yes, Karunapati Prabhu. Okay. So 3 daughters, you know the names of 3 daughters? Mother of Kapila Deva, Devahuti, Ahuti, Akuti, and Prasuti. and he had two sons. The elder one was the elder one was Priyavrata, and the younger was Uttanapad. And Uttanapad had two sons, Dhruva Maharaj and Uttam. And then it comes to the dynasties, and then it comes to the Vena, from Vena to Prithu Maharaj to again dynasty Prachinar Vishad, and then Prachetas. And there was a long discussion about the allegorical story, Puranjana, I think 2-3 chapters. Then the activities of Pracheta, the discussion between Narada. And towards the end of that, Sukadeva Goswami tells very quickly, he says that now I told the descendants of the first son of, the son of Swayambhu Manu Uttanapad. Now I shall try to relate the activities of the descendants of Priyavrata, the second son of Swayambhu Manu. Now please hear them attentively. And then he, in a one sloka, he finishes that Priyavrata received the instruction from Narada Muni. Then he engaged in the ruling the earthly planet. After that, enjoying the material facilities, he divided the property, and then he attained the position, and he went back to Godhead. And that is where Sukadeva Parikshit Maharaj said, wait, you told the whole story of Priyavrata. Now I have some question. Just now we finished Janmashtami, right? 10th canto we were reading from chapter 1. When at the end of 9th canto, after Prabhu Ramchandraji's pastime, Sukadeva Goswami does the same thing. Within a few slokas, he talks about Krishna, right? Then Sukadeva Parikshit Maharaj says, no, don't tell me that. You tell me Vistirna. Elaborately, you tell me about who is this Krishna, why he transferred from from Mathura to Gokulavan, then how Baladev was transferred from womb of Devaki to Rohini, and so many activities. Then what did he do in Vrindavan, and what did he do in Dwarka? Then why did he get married with so many queens? So these are the questions that he had asked. So here, similarly, and as you know that here Sukadeva Parikshit Maharaj was almost 3 to 4 days, as we understand from 7 days. So 9th canto, he was already finished 3 or 4 days, and he was in 5th days. And he said, I don't want to just a shortcut, I want in a detail, because Krishna Katha is a Bhava Aushadam. So the medicines to cross the ocean of Bhavasagar, this is the Krishna Katha is the medicine. And I want to hear that in detail, because though I did not eat anything, though I did not drink anything, but these stories about Krishna, the pastimes about Krishna is more than enough for me to sustain. I don't need anything. All I need is Krishna Katha. So that is how we can understand from Parikshit Maharaj that he's very alert. As soon as Sukadeva Goswami gave some shortcuts in 1 or 2 slokas, he said, wait, you tell me now in detail. Now here, he asked very wonderful questions, so some background, because we have to understand why this Mukto Api, liberated person story coming here, topic about. So when he heard that Priyavrata renounced everything and again accepted the material enjoyment, and again he went back to Godhead, right? So he had a question. He said, I had a first question. He asked Parikshit Maharaj, he asked Sukadeva Goswami, why did King Priyavrata, who was a great self-realized devotee of the Lord, came to the household life, right? This we all questions. If somebody is a devotee of Krishna and he's dedicated his life, then why did he enter in a household life? Right? Who is laughing? Because in 4th canto, Sukadeva Goswami explained that Narada Muni told Priyavrata about the mission of the human form of life. And the mission of the human form of life is to realize one's self relationship with Krishna and gradually go back to Godhead. So that was the mission of the human form of life. Now, if that was the mission, then why did he actually stop that activity and engage in the household activities? Maharaj Parikshit was greatly astonished why King Priyavrata remained in the household life, especially when he was not only a self-realized soul, but he was a Mahabhagavata, because he understood that the root cause of the bondage is the household fruitive activities. And the fruitive activity is the purpose of the household life. And that is why now somebody may say that, so engaging into the entering into the grahastha ashrama or the household activities is something that condemned here. It appears that it condemned, but we need to understand that why Narad Muni told this thing to Priyavrata, and because it is said that the purpose, typically the general purpose of the household activities is sense gratification, and the sense gratification means bondage in this material world. So if the purpose of the human form of life, the mission of the human form of life is go beyond this, then why Priyavrata actually engaged in the household activities? Because these family affairs and the devotional activities, Srila Prabhupada says, are incompatible. Household life and the devotional activities are incompatible. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit was completely surprised that Priyavrata simultaneously attached to the devotional service and to family life. The question that come again, that why is it wrong to enjoy the household life? Because we understand from the household life, the essence of the household life is the sense enjoyment. And as soon as one engages in the sense enjoyment, yadnartat karma no anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartha karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. As soon as we engage into the sense gratification, we are bound. Then punarapi jananam, punarapi marnam, one after the other, we are definitely bound to get another human form, another species, another form of life. Not only that, when he was fully satisfied on the highest platform, then why did he come down to the family affairs, right? It's a very obvious question. What do you think? Why did he come to the household activities? Now, if somebody is Mahabhagavata, he was not just not an ordinary self-realized soul. He is a Mahabhagavata. If he is a Mahabhagavata, then why did he engage in household activities? Yes, Advaita. To set an example for all of us, because in the future in Kali Yuga, there are people in Bangalore, they will get married, no? Otherwise, if you continue that, then nobody will become, and then what will happen to this Praja? There will be no Praja, no people in this, and no Bangalore. There will be no people in the Bangalore, then how will you do Janmashtami? So he knows that we have to do Janmashtami. That's why Priyavrata wanted that. So, Sukadev Parikshit Maharaj was really astonished, because you get the highest benefit, highest satisfaction in devotional service. Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Atayava Seva Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakale Shanta. If Bhukti, Mukti, Siddhi, if everybody is Ashanta, only devotee is Shanta, then why did Priyavrata from devotees engaged in a Bhukti or Mukti? So because we see that the karmis are satisfied in the fruitive activities. Karmis means we go to the job and get money. So activity, job. can you rule this earthly planet? So the request came from his father, Priyavrata's father, Swayambhu Manu, that please come and rule this earthly planet. Now, as soon as Priyavrata heard that, he did not directly rule out, but he did neither, nor even he welcomed the instruction given by his father, Priyavrata, that it is his duty to now to rule the kingdom, because when he got the highest taste, then it is very difficult for devotees to come back to the lower taste, right? Vishya vinivartante niraharashade rasavarja rasopyasya param drashta nivartate. Once we get the higher taste, it is very difficult to come to the lower taste. We tell the opposite direction. We are all attached to the lower taste. So if you want to leave the lower taste, what do? We try to come to the higher taste. Srila Prabhupada would say that if you are eating rice and if you go gulab jam, this can bullet, then what will happen? Immediately you will leave a rice aside and you will start eating gulab jamun, right? That's the highest taste in the material sense. It's just an analogy example. So once we take a gulab jamun, we will not touch rice. So because param drashta nivartate. So Prithu Maharaj, the Priyavrata, King Priyavrata Maharaj, he got the highest taste engaging into the Krishna consciousness, engaging in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. He was definitely not going to hear his father's instruction. He was completely reluctant to engage and come back as a king and rule the earthly planet. Now today, if we are told that you are engaging in devotional, whatever the small devotional activities engaged here, if you are given a chief minister of Karnataka, what would happen? How many of us would actually raising our hand, right? Then yes, Prabhu raised, yes. Nice. Thanks for being honest. We all want that. We want money, we want fame, we want prestige, we want power, control. What if we are given opportunity to become Prime Minister of India 2024? Now the elections will be very general election. We will be very happy. And then here, not only the Bharata, not only the United States of America, but whole earthly planet, it was given offer. Right? Today we get the offer and we get 30% hike, 20% hike. Right? We get the package. But here, Priyavrata was given offer that why are you engaged in these activities? Please come and rule the earthly planet. You will become the empire of the whole planet, Bharatvarsh. But he was not interested, because once we taste the higher taste, we will not be interested. But if we have that taste, then we can understand that we still some time to go. If we still want to go to the chief minister, prime minister, or the presidents of the powerful country, United States. So now the question comes is that because father, spiritual master, on what circumstances one can actually reject a guru? Srila Prabhupada was asked. Once a reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, I wondered how many people you think might have been taken in by fake gurus. And practically, Srila Prabhupada said that practically everyone, there is no question of counting, everyone, because we wanted to get cheated. There are people the cheaters are there. Srila Prabhupada said, why there are cheaters? Because we wanted to get cheated. So Srila Prabhupada said that according to the scriptural course, a teacher who engages in abominable actions, he lost his sense of discrimination, is fit to be abandoned. An example from Mahabharata, when the guru is rejected, spiritual master is rejected. Here, Priyavrata is reluctant to accept the instruction given by his father, Pitama Bhishma and Dronacharya. They were obliged to take the side of Duryodhana because of their dependence on Duryodhana for the financial assistance. They should not have accepted that such a position simply on the financial situation under the circumstances, but they lost the respectability of a teacher. So in that circumstances, one can actually reject a spiritual master or father's instruction. However, if but today's father, the parents are different ways. So if a child or a young devotee start practicing Krishna consciousness, the alarm goes, something now wrong will happen. So we have one young devotee, And so when he started practicing Krishna consciousness, like young devotee, like him, and all his friends, and she said they observed him for quite some time, say 1 month, 2 months, and 6 months. Because as soon as you come to our morning programs or somewhere, we said you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you don't watch cricket matches, you don't watch movies and all those things. And all his friends were actually astonished. And he was a quite young fellow. Then they all on one meeting, he said, what happened to kya hua aapko? Something wrong is happening to you. You were such a nice person and something going wrong for you. Did you get hunted by some ghost or something? This is something not to be done now. This is something to be done when you are old, when you are not able to hear, you are not able to chant, you are not able to sit because of back pain, you are not able to even utter the holy name Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
In that circumstances, you can chant Hare Krishna mantra. You practice. Now is the time to enjoy Madi. You enjoy, earn a lot of money, have a bank balance and all those things. And once everything you enjoyed, prime time of your youth, when nothing left, then you go. But when we practice Krishna consciousness or something, we want Krishna's prime attention, right? But when we want to give time for Krishna, we did not want to give prime focus. What we do all activities throughout the life, and towards 9:45, 10 o'clock, night time japa, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Because we give all important so-called activity, important activity as per our calculations, we do everything, and night 10 o'clock, 10:30, just before 12 o'clock, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Because it shows that we are neither convinced that the holy name Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam. It is the utmost important activities in our spiritual practices. That if you go to any time management, they say that if you have a jar and you have to do the time management, what you do? You do the first thing which is important, big stones, you put that, then little small, and finally you put sand. That means you have to do the first activity at the start of the day. And then as day progresses, you can put activity as for your priority. But the first activity is spiritual practices, which is our sadhana practices. Now when things were going like this, Swayambhu Manu was trying to convince Priyavrata that you engage into family activities, and he was reluctant to do that. At that time, Lord Brahmadev comes there. Now the question comes, why did Brahmadev come there? Because now the matter was very serious here. Priyavrata was not ready to listen his father, Swayambhu Manu, because he had listened the instruction from Narad Muni. You know that once you hear from Narad Muni's instruction means you become a Brahmachari. There is no other way. Direct Brahmachari. No other option in between. Grasta is skipped, directly Brahmachari. So he said that he had heard spiritual life, knowledge, renunciation and bhakti from Narad Muni. I don't think that he would listen to his father. There is no way. Then I should now go and intervene the matter. And immediately Brahmadev appeared there on his swan, and then he was ready to instruct Priyavrata. Because he wanted Priyavrata to accept the household life, because other Priyavrata was not in touch with the Dios. I mean, he was touched with and blessings of Vaishnava, and he was not ready to do another activity. So now there was a joking competition between the grandson and the grandfather. Priyavrata was determined Brahmachari, whereas Brahma wanted determined that you must rule the kingdom. Now this is a typical challenge that we have. So somebody says that you become Brahmachari and somebody says that you get married. We'll have the challenge here. That typical situation that Priyavrata is in, that he will come. Now we need to understand who is Lord Brahma here. Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Kumara, Kapila, Manu, Prahlada, Janako, Bhishma, Balir, Vyasak, Saki, Avayam. So he is the one of the 12 Mahajanas, a great authority. Lord Brahma himself and his son Narada, Swayambhu Manu, and Lord Shiva, all the 4 great authorities, Mahajanas, are present there. Now here is the Dharma Sankata for Priyavrata. because now he has to follow whether he can follow the instruction given by his father, and even Brahmadev is going to tell the same thing. And on the other side, he has the instruction given by his spiritual master Narad Muni, because Narad Muni has given him instruction and he's about to take diksha from Narad Muni, and suddenly now all these things happening here. So now Brahmadev starts telling him that he's convincing. Now here is also now when Vasudev, as soon as Kamsa Maharaj came to know that that eighth son of Devaki is going to kill him. So now he had to do some diplomacy, right? He has to convince Kamsa Maharaj. So similarly, Brahmadev now started convincing Priyavrata how you should accept the household life. Then first thing, he said that as far as I am concerned, Brahmadev, then Narada, Shiva, and Swayambhu Manu, all are the authorities, and they are present before Priyavrata. Even we cannot defy the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what to talk about you, Priyavrata, definitely you cannot defy the order of Supreme Personality of Godhead, because Lord Brahma is not an ordinary soul. Lord Brahma is he's a Mahajana, and Mahajana always wanted that the devotees or the people should follow the instruction given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. The Lord's instruction here was that there was a pastime that Priyavrata should engage into the household life, and that instruction from Lord through Brahma was supposed to give to Priyavrata. So Priyavrata, the instruction given to Priyavrata by Brahmadev was not, it is Brahmadev's order, but it was ordered directly from a Supreme Lord. So that's why Brahmadev said that you cannot defy the order of Lord. Not only we, not only Shiva, not only Swayambhu Manu, not only Swayambhu Manu and all the four things, even you cannot defy the order of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And why we cannot defy the order of Supreme Personality of Godhead? Deva, in this shloka, it is called as a Deva. Deva means who is always glorious. The power, the glory, and the potency of the Supreme Lord can never be diminished. And that's why we cannot defy the order of the Supreme Lord. We call it Bhagavan, right? Bhagavan means who possesses all the opulences all the time and in full. There is never a time that Krishna has diminished his opulence, then he become a small child, then he's not a Bhagavan. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, when Lord Krishna killed Putana, whether he's a small baby or he's a Krishna at 125 years old, he's always a Bhagavan, is a Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not only that, in Ishopanishad, Krishna is absolute truth is called as apapam vidha. Apapam vidha means that he's never affected by anything material conditions. He's never affected by papa because he's beyond the three modes of material nature. Srimad Bhagavatam says that Lord is so powerful that nothing we can consider can affect Krishna. Srila Prabhupada gives the example of Surya Dev. Suppose there is something contaminated we keep in a sunlight, and that contaminated gets purified, but it does not affect Surya Dev. So similarly, when this contaminated soul comes in contact with the Supreme Shuddha, the Shuddha does not get affected, but the Ashuddha get purified. That is why we should. So the question may come: why one should follow the order and the instruction of the Supreme Lord? Because Krishna's instructions are supreme. Krishna's instructions are auspicious. Krishna is never affected by three modes of material nature. Krishna is a papa vidham, and Krishna is a powerful that cannot be affected by anything. And the Supreme Lord can never be accused of doing anything wrong at any point of time. Since Supreme Personality cannot be accused of doing anything at any point of time, that means he's always auspicious for all of us, and we must follow his instruction. Sarva dharman pariteja mam ekam sharanam vraj aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshaya vimasucha. You follow the instruction given by the Lord, our life becomes auspicious. In Nectar of Devotion, it is said that there are 6 characteristics of devotional service. As soon as we start practicing devotional service, what happens? What is the first thing that happens?
Freedom from misgiving.
kleshagani. Kleshagani. Gana means to remove, to eradicate the kleshas. And then next is a Shubhadha. It brings all auspiciousness. When we start practicing Krishna consciousness, it removes all inauspiciousness in our life. So that's why Lord Brahmadev is telling to Priyavrata that you must follow the instruction of Supreme Lord. You cannot defy the order of Supreme Lord. The second shloka that in that 9 shloka that Brahmadev is trying to convince Priyavrata, the second shloka, he says that what about the people who are siddhas and then mystic yogas, physical prowess, intellectual activities? Can such kind of people defy the order of Supreme Personality of Godhead? Brahmadev said that none of them can even defy the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That means Priyavrata has no other option but to listen to Brahmadev, and that is nothing but the order coming from Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now the interesting question that comes in front of Priyavrata is that whom to listen? Whether he should listen from Brahmadev or he should listen from Narad Muni. Because Priyavrata might argue that Lord Brahma is requesting him to accept the family life, responsibility of ruling the earthly planet, and Narad Muni advised him to enter the household life and not to get entangled in the material affairs. Right? What should Priyavrata do here now? Because our young devotees here, so when they practice Krishna consciousness, they are told that you must engage in a brahmacharya, continue to engage in brahmacharya. And sometimes they also hear that household life is also good. It is good that it is said, na sadika laddu jo khaye wo bhi pachta hai, jo na khaye wo bhi pachta hai. It is better that we pachta by eating sadika laddu. So these young devotees are confused whether we should accept Narada's instruction, who is also Mahajana, and there is also instruction coming from Brahmadev, who is also Mahajana. What shall Priyavrata do here?
Brahmaji is also father of Narada, so material level based.
So that's a hierarchical authority also told that you must instruct from Brahmadev. Okay, that's a good point here. What else? Because I see here some eyes are slowly getting closed. And it is time to take off. And then you take off. So once you take off, so we don't know what's happening. So I told this story. Once what happened, I think Radha Gopinath temple, one devotee was telling that one person, he had an insomnia problem. Insomnia, he was not getting sleep. And then what did he do? So every morning he will come to Bhagavatam class and sit happy. And so what happened, as soon as the speaker starts speaking Jai Radha Madhav, then this gentleman will immediately take off and he'll nice sleep, and then he'll get up only the Mahaprasade. Yes, it's time for prasad. So then somebody asked, hey, Baba, you are very serious, this Bhagavatam class. What is you tell us this, the secret of your sincerity and dedication. He said that I get such a wonderful nice sleep that I don't get at night time. So that's why I come here. So I hope we are not that kind of things. We are here to hear Krishna Katha. Krishna Katha is a Bhava Aushadhi. Sukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj is telling this Bhava Aushadhi is to overcome this disease of material contamination and cross the ocean of. So in this particular shloka, when Priyavrata is completely confused, Sukadeva Goswami talks about particular word, and Srila Prabhupada emphasized that word is Manisham. Manisham is very appropriate. Manisham means intelligence. And Srila Prabhupada quotes Srila Rupa Goswami, Anasaktasya Vishayan Yathartham Upoinjate Nirbandham Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagya Uchate. The material affairs or Vishaya should be accepted without attachment. Anasaktasya Vishayan. So we can accept these material things without getting attached to that only when we are engaging all these things in the service of the Supreme Lord. And that is the real intelligence. Srila Prabhupada says Manishana, because we cannot reject the order of any one of them, either Brahma's order or Narada's order. But Srila Prabhupada is giving a hint here or instruction if there is such kind of dharma sankata for all of us, whether I should do this or whether I should do that, then we should refer this quote given by Rupa Goswami, Anasakta Shevishan, Yathartham Epunjate, Nirbandham Krishna Sambandhe, Yukta Vairagya Uchate. Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, 1920s and 30s, he was using four-wheeler, and he was actually sent his sannyasi disciples cross the ocean and preach the message of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. At that time, crossing the ocean was condemned for sannyasis, but Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, nothing going. Anything in this material world, if I can use in the service of Lord, I can definitely use. And that is what the concept of Yukta Vairagya demonstrated by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, very boldly, very confidently, very like a Singha Guru. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is called as a Singha Guru, without any hesitation, without any fear. And following in the footsteps of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our founder Acharya, our dear Srila Prabhupada, did exactly the same. Whatever is possible, engaged in the service of Supreme Personality of God, whether it's a microphone, whether it's using a flight, using anything that can be used in the service of Lord, can be directly used without any hesitation. So here, if we have such a kind of dilemma, whether I should continue as a brahmachari or I should engage in the household life, please refer the quote and the shloka from 5.1.12 or 13 by Sukadeva Goswami, 5.1.12, where Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, Anasakta Shevisham Nethartham Pinjate Nirbandham Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagya Uchate. Not only that, Brahmadev is continuing that, not only that you cannot defy that, not only that Siddha or anybody who has the intelligence, they cannot defy, not only all of us, but our dependence is on the Lord, because we get this body, we get birth, death, shoka, moha, vaya from Lord. So we cannot actually completely independent of Lord. Once there was a joke that Lord and some king, and the king and the Lord, the conversation was going between the king and Lord. The Lord said that, in fact, you are great to the king. King said, how is that I am a great? Because I am just a nominal, ordinary king, you are a supreme Lord. He said that, if some citizen in your kingdom, if he does not follow your rule, you can actually bash him from your kingdom, exile from your kingdom. But if somebody is not following my instruction, I cannot exile him, because there is nothing independent of Krishna or Krishna. Either there is a Krishna or Krishna's energy. There is nothing independent of Krishna. So even if we are not following Krishna's energy, unfortunately, Krishna has no way, but he has to keep in his kingdom. And in fact, that is the nature of Krishna. That is a Bhakta Vatsala nature. Sometimes we say that, oh, my son is not following my instruction, or my Bhakti Ruksha member is not following my instruction, what to do? Imagine that Krishna has such an option, he would have thrown us millions and trillions and billions times out of this, but Krishna is so merciful. So now the next sloka, Brahmadev is still convincing Priyavrata that why you should accept the instruction given by by Supreme Personality of Godhead. He said, and it is very important topic for all of us, when there are difficulties in our life, how we should handle the difficult situation. And that is where Lord Brahmadev is saying that, oh dear Priyavrata, according to our association, different modes, Karanam Guna Sangasha, Sad Asad, Yoni Janmasu. Because of the association with the different modes of material nature, actually we get a different bodies, and while going through that bodies, we either enjoy the happiness or we suffer the miseries. And we must therefore remain situated as we go through these different difficult situations. So now what happened? When we are going through the difficult situation, the question comes that how do we handle? And here Brahmadev is giving the kind of solution or kind of steps, that the first thing that he said, that we must accept the situation as it is. Because if we don't accept, we'll always be blaming some other person, or we will be always contemplating that why it happened to me. But here Brahmadev is telling to Priyavrata that we must accept the situation, just like exactly as the blind man is led by the person who has eyes with which he can see that. So we are a blind person, so we must accept the instruction, or we must accept the situation that we are put in by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because the situation that we are in, it is not because of some other person. कार्य कारण कर्तृत्वे हेतु प्रकृति उच्यते पुरुष सुख दुःखानां भोक्तृत्वे हेतु उच्यते 14.26-27 13.26-22-23 कारणं कार्य कारण कर्तृत्वे हेतु prakriti uchyate. So whatever is happening in this material world is because of this all these activities which are getting executed, it is because of the material nature. But Purusha Sukha Dukkha Nam Bhoktrutva Hetur Uchyate. When the living entity is going through the difficulties or miseries, is not because of any other things, but because of our own desire to enjoy that, because of the desire that we have, and that is why we are going through this difficult situation or suffering. So here, the first thing the Brahmadev is telling to Priyavrata that we must accept the situation. Because under any circumstances, if we remain condition allowed to us by the Supreme Lord and follow his instruction, we will become a perfect. Not to blame to the situation, not to blame to the other person, but if we remain composed, calm in that particular situation and follow the instruction given by the Lord, because the main purpose of the life is to follow the instruction of the Supreme Lord. That's the whole purpose of the life. Follow the instruction of the Lord, follow the instruction of Lords, his devotees, his instruction given in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Because following such instruction constitutes one's religion or occupational duty. What is our occupational duty? Jivere Swarupa hai Krishna Nitya Das. Our occupational duty is to follow the instruction given by the Supreme Lord. And how should we follow? Just like we should follow the instruction given by the Lord, just like the blind man follows the person who has eyes. That means we should exactly follow the instruction given by the Supreme Lord, because as we discussed earlier, Lord's instruction is always auspicious for all of us. Lord is beyond the three modes of material nature. Lord is Purna Shuddha Nitya Mukta. He is not imperfect. He is not conditioned by the limited senses. That's why the instruction given by the Lord is always perfect and always auspicious for a living entity. But if we give an instruction, we are limited by senses. We are Asat, Achit, and completely conditioned by the three modes of material nature. So whatever we give instruction, they are limited. And that is why when we see in this IT world, somebody designs a cell phone, there is a version 1, version 2, version 3. Why? Because we did not have the perfect knowledge and understanding what features should be there, what are the applications we should have. As we learn, then we apply that. So that means we did not have the perfection at that point of time. But have you ever seen Bhagavad Gita version 1.1 yesterday, 1.2 today, and in the future? No, Bhagavad Gita as it is, it was yesterday. Bhagavad Gita as it is today, and Bhagavad Gita would be as it is tomorrow. There will be no any version of Bhagavad Gita, because the knowledge coming directly from the Supreme Lord is apurusha. So therefore Brahmadev said that we must be satisfied in whatever situation that we are in. Now somebody may say, okay, then if somebody goes through Corona and that you just satisfied and don't take any steps. No. First thing that we accept the situation, but take the practical steps. So when we say acceptance, it does not mean that we switch off our intelligence. Our intelligence is still on. We take the practical steps, maybe whatever is required. Some may take some medicines and all the things, but we must accept the situation and take the practical steps as it is required in that particular situation. But what is important that Brahmadev is saying that one must remain santosha. Santosha means satisfied. One must remain satisfied in that particular situation, whether it's a favorable situation according to our calculations or unfavorable situation according to our calculations. But if you remain steadfast in that, because we always get a question, how we matras varshastu kaunte shitoshna sukha dukkha, how can we remain steadfast in the favorable situation, unfavorable situation? And that is where Brahmadev is telling to Priyavrata that by accepting the situation as it is, one can actually remain steadfast in particular situation. And that is where today's shloka is one of the conversation between Brahmadev and Priyavrata, and Brahmadev is trying to convince Priyavrata that you must accept the instruction given by the Lord. And here in today's shloka, he says that mukto api, Tavad api vriyatso deham. So here, if you see the first line, Srila Prabhupada gives the difference between the mukta and the baddha jiva. So today's shloka, he said that even mukta jiva accept the body. What to talk about you? So even the mukta jiva. Now here the particular shloka talking about the difference between the mukta jiva and the baddha jiva. So what is the difference between the mukta jiva and the baddha jiva? The mukta jiva, here it is said that abhimana shunya. Abhimana shunya means the Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that the difference between the mukta, liberated, and the conditioned soul is that the conditioned soul is under the concept of the bodily concept of life, whereas the liberated soul is above these concepts of the body. He considers himself not as a body, but the spirit soul. He considers himself different from the body. As the Baddha Jiva says, Janasya Moham Aham Mameti. When one becomes attracted to this bodily home, property, children, relatives, and he thinks in terms of I and mine. Now, what is mine depends upon what is your definition of I. If I define myself as this body, then what mine will be related to the body. If I define as I as the spirit soul, the mind will be related to the spirit soul. So that is where it is said that Baddha Jiva considers himself as this body, whereas the liberated soul considers himself as a spirit soul. Srila Prabhupada gives a wonderful example. When the car is hit by some other car, when there is an accident, if somebody gets affected thinking that he himself is a car, he will go through the miseries, he'll go through suffering, because he's considering himself as a car. So similarly, when we as a living entity, when we go through this material life, we consider ourselves as this body. Anything happens to this body, we will definitely and very easily get affected. But it is so deep in our conception that, for example, if you go to road and you said rickshaw, right? That person will turn and come back as if he's a rickshaw, right? So he understands himself as a rickshaw, but actually he's not an auto rickshaw. He is a person inside that rickshaw. So similarly, we consider ourselves as a rickshaw and think that this body is nothing but we, and anything happen to this body is actually we ourselves. And that is why anything happens to the body. It's very easy to say, but when to practice that, it takes a lot of time. That's why Prabhupada says that Anya Abhilasita Shunya Jnana Karmadi and Krishnanu Anusilanam. It is a cultivation, it is a practice. This morning we were discussing in another discussion. Assume assume there is a pill, there is a medicine tablet that if you take 11:59:59, and if you take that tablet, and or within 1 second a sadhu becomes sadhu. So nice, right? You don't have to practice chanting 16 rounds, and it will be so easy. In fact, when devotee takes diksha, generally it becomes nervous, and when spiritual master says, okay, now what is your O? So what is our O? We'll follow the 4 regulative principle and chant 16. And when he becomes nervous, he says that I'll follow the 16 regulative principle and chant the 4 rounds of Hare Krishna. Now, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, 64 become 32, become 16. There is no way that it become a 4 round of Hare Krishna. So the difference between the liberated soul and the Baddha Jiva, that Abhimana Shunya, Abhimana Yukta. One is Abhimana Shunya and another is a Abhimana Yukta. Just like a tender coconut, if you see the tender coconut, when there is the skin, right, malai, so that is completely attached to the shell. But as it gets ripened and ripened and ripened, then the coconut actually get free from the shell. And then when you actually do that, you'll see gar 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 sound, right? So that means the coconut is still within the body, but is not of the body. And that is why Prabhupada and all our Acharya told us that be in this material, but not of this material. Be in this body, not of this body. So that is how we are. So we have to, just like Prabhupada is another example, jail and superintendent, right? The prisoners and the jail superintendent. So many times we have heard this example, right? The superintendent who is coming in this jail, he's not affected, but the prisoner who is affected because he's part of that. So similarly, when we consider ourselves as this deha or conditioned souls, then we'll be affected very easily. Now, this is the external consciousness of the person who is a Mukta Jiva. What is the internal consciousness of this Mukta Jiva? And Sukadeva Goswami says that the internal consciousness of this Mukta Jiva, that he is steadfast. And Sukadeva Goswami gives the analogy that just like when one is sleeping and in a dream, he may see many unreal things. And as soon as he awakens, he disregards them and makes in a progress in his daily life, right? So similarly, this Mukta Jiva is not affected anything that happens, because he understands that just like when we see in a dream, we may see in a dream that the lion is chasing us, or in the dream, we may see that we are having the golden mountain. Srila Prabhupada always said that, why do we see golden mountain in our dream? Because we have seen a gold, we have seen the mountain, and we combine that and we see golden mountain. So, because something which we have not seen, something which we have not perceived, something that we have not experienced, that we cannot see in the dream. We can see something which we have experienced, which we have seen, which we have perceived, but it gets mixed and we may see the mountain and gold, it becomes a golden mountain. So if we see the lion chasing us, and then you will be sweating, right? If you are in that condition alive, but when you awake, oh, there is no lion, nothing, right? So similarly, this Mukta Jiva is a steadfast. His internal consciousness, he's completely like a person who awakened and he disregards all his dream, because he considers himself as the spirit soul, not as a deha, as considering himself as a body. Because if somebody takes, for example, somebody take his dreams very seriously, and in his room he starts running, somebody says he's a foolish, right? He's a foolish. But imagine the Lord, imagine the Supreme Lord seeing from the top, Acharya seeing all of us, what they would be seeing, thinking about all of us. Mudha, foolish. Because in that these people, even after so many instructions given, still, I'm talking about myself, still we as a living entity, we consider this body as ourself, but not the spirit soul. And then we are none other than the Mudha. And that's why Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, it's a gradual process of sadhana bhakti. Now the question comes that how can we come from this Baddha Jiva to the Mukta Jiva? Srila Prabhupada gives the best way of doing is that the process of sadhana bhakti. Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama eva kevala. Kallai nasteva, 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 gatira anyatha. And the third thing, and the last thing that this in this shloka, Sukadeva Goswami talks about the Mukta Jiva. The first thing he talked about Mukta Jiva is that, what is that? Abhiman Shunya. Second thing is that steadfast. He is not affected by Sukha, Dukha. And third thing that he will engage in such an activity, or rather in a negative way, he will never work in such an activity that he will again get another material body. Deha Anni. He will not work to achieve another material body. That means Tvekta Deham Punarjanma Naiti Mameti So Arjuna. Upon leaving this body, he will go back to the Godhead and he will never attain material body again in this material world. So the liberated soul, the Mukta Jivas do not engage into the activities of Vishaya. Whereas Baddha Jiv engage in the activities of this Vishaya Vasana. And when once engaged into the activities of Vishaya Vasana, definitely he is preparing himself for another material body. And after many lives, after 8.4 million, 84 lakh species of this creation, one got the opportunity to engage in this human form of life. The Dullabha Manusya Janma, this human form of life is very rare. So here, Priyavrata is being instructed by Brahmadev that you must accept the instruction given by the Supreme Lord, because you cannot defy. Even the great Mahajanas cannot defy. Even the Siddhas cannot defy. Even the intellectual person cannot defy. Nor we as the Mahajanas cannot defy. You must follow the instruction given by Supreme Lord. And then he said, we are our dependence in the Lord. And he said, even Mukta Jiva can even accept. Here it is said that Mukta Jiva can even accept the Deha, but they do not engage in activity which actually they prepare themselves for another body. Now the question comes that how these liberated persons avoid another material body, right? And that's the last purpose. Srila Prabhupada says that yajnarthat karmano anyatre lokoyam karma bandhana. When one engages in activities serving for the pleasure of Lord Sri Krishna, one does not incur any karma. It is called as a karma. There is a karma, vikarma, and akarma activities. When we engage into akarmic activities, when we are engaging in the activities for the pleasure of Lord, in that way, we will not be eligible to get another material body. That is why this nitya mukta, this mukta jivas, they will be not engaging such activities that they will be preparing themselves for another material body. And the second thing Prabhupada says here, Mamacho avicharena 14.26, Bhakti yogena sevate sa gunan samtiyatan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So by engaging in the devotional service, one actually is assured that he will not incur any sins. Not only that, he will go back to Godhead. In fact, Narottam Das Thakur said, Griya va vane thake, gauranga vale thake. So whether you are in here, whether you are there, please engage in a devotional service of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So even the Mukta Jiva, when he gets this Deha, still he can be aloof from all these activities only by engaging in a devotional service of the Supreme Lord and karmic activities. And by doing that, Janma Karmacha me divyam yo veti tatvatha tvekta deham punarjanma naiti mameti swagi. So by doing these things, Srila Prabhupada concludes the purport that one will actually go back to Godhead. Now the question will come, what happened to Priyavrata, right? Whether he accepted Brahma Deva or Narada. Wait for next week. So we'll end here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any question? Do you have time for something? It's only 10 o'clock.
You raised this question that when two Mahajans are instructing, and both of them are being communicated by Krishna. So whom to accept, but you didn't resolve it.
Yeah, so I said Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport 4.1.12, he writes that when such a situation comes, Manishanam, one must use intelligence. Rupa Goswami quotes that Anasaktasya Vishayam Yathartham Kunjande Nirbandham Krishna Sambandhe. So whatever Srila Prabhupada actually conciled this, both the things, Brahmadev's and Narad Muni's instruction, but he said that the decision or the choice remains with you and you utilize your intelligence. That's why Prabhupada writes very intelligently, very beautifully. So Priyavrata might argue that Lord Brahma was requesting him to accept that he may argue that Lord Brahma, I'm just reading as it is, was requesting him to Brahmadev was requesting him to accept the family life and the responsibility for ruling a kingdom, although Narad Muni had advised him not to enter the household life and be entangled in material life. Whom to accept would be puzzle for Priyavrata, because both Lord Brahma and Narad Muni are authorities. Under the circumstances, the use of word Manishaya is very appropriate, because it indicates that since both Narad Muni and Lord Brahma are authorized to give instruction, Priyavrata should neglect neither of them, but should use his intelligence to follow the advice of both. To solve such a dilemma, Rupa Goswami has given a very clear concept of intelligence. He says, Anasaktasya Vishayam Yathartham Upayunjate Nirbandham Krishna Sambandha. Because Krishna does not give straight instruction and direct instruction. When he asked Vasudeva that, okay, now you go. Now, what will happen? I am tied by shackled by all the chain, all the doors are closed. How will I go? He said, you just go. How will you go? What will happen to the shackles? Krishna did not tell. It will automatically be revealed. It will be revealed as we practice Krishna consciousness and we have very strong connection with the Paramatma. But here, what is important is that you use our intelligence. And Srila Prabhupada is definitely emphasizing our intelligence. We cannot keep our intelligence side and then just blindly follow. That's why Prabhupada it's a science. So because both instructions are actually telling him to follow the instruction of the Lord, there is nothing wrong. But there is some particular mission from the Lord, and the mission from the Lord is that Priyavrata should engage in creating the progeny and ruling the earthly planet. So that is why he was asked by Brahmadev special, because he did not hear, he did not listen to his father, and then next Brahmadev has to come there. We may not be such a fortunate that if we don't listen and Brahmadev come here and say, okay, wait a minute, I will tell you what to be done. Because many times people ask question. Arjuna was very fortunate because Krishna was in front of him. We are not fortunate, but we are fortunate because our founder Acharya has given a book for all of us and to read that. An instruction by Srila Prabhupada, so instruction from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavata is with us.
Would you want to comment when Mahaprabhu, now Mahaprabhu's first time, with different devotees, we have different instructions. One devotee instructed, become household, don't have to come with me. One devotee instructed, don't become household, you have to be brahmachari. So as you said, the Lord's way of dealing is very, very not straightforward.
It's not easy. Krishna is a Tribhangala. It is said that if you if you have a plastic bottle and you try to put an object which is inclined, it's very difficult, right? But once it gets in, it's very difficult to take out. Similarly, once we are captured by Lord, the Lord will never release you. So that is, yes, it's a different situation. But what is important here that to use our intelligence, where is our inclination, and where it will be much more easier for, according to our psychophysical nature, whether we'll be more suited to this life or will be more suited to that life. Based on that, our own nature, our inclination, using our own intelligence, we cannot, we cannot just switch off intelligence and say, okay, you do these things. So otherwise, later on, we may say, I wish I would have done that. But life would always throw like this. I wish I would have done that. But that time it is too late, because in the life there is no control, just undo. Because if that is the case, we would have done undo multiple times. Okay, we'll end here. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Prabhupada ki Devotional.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for reminding us that we have the intelligence, we have the freedom to apply our intelligence. And especially in this purport, Prabhupada summarizes it very nicely. Yes, we have to make use of the intelligence, but we have to make the perfect way of using our intelligence is to use everything to serve the Supreme Lord, whether it's a favorable or unfavorable, based on our psychophysical condition, right? How we have to really ensure that whatever we have, body and mind and words, we have to use it for the service of the Supreme Lord. So thank you very much. Yes, we always come across these dualities, difficulties, challenges, confusions, whether should we follow this authority, that authority, this instruction, that instruction. But then yes, we should consult. We should consult them and we should follow both.
Both are given now. Both are given the same instruction.
Both are giving the same instruction. Both are really telling us how we should really use our body and mind and words, for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Bring both of them together, and we should understand what is our capabilities, what is our psychophysical condition, and then we should really proceed. Very beautiful. Thank you very much, sir. Let's take this grace equal ki sir prove by loudly chanting Hare Krishna Maha.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So, Srila Prabhupada is hovering his choices to blessings upon us. Like we had Krishna Janmashtami, grand celebration, and still now we're not able to understand who is the fountain. Whatever you say, somebody will say, no, it's nothing. Okay, only Lord knows, and I don't know. But I think it was a wonderful celebration. We had Prabhupada's Puja celebration last weekend. And yes, as we do more and more services, God also reciprocates accordingly. And we are very, very happy to have that. We have now one more center. Devotees also have started forgetting now how many number of centers we have now. Yes, yes, it really shows the sincere desire of the devotees and serious endeavor of all the devotees here, and how it is reciprocated. So on this Ganpati Utshav, on this day of 31st of August, we'll be having a new center in Shanjapur. And the devotees are requested to please come down and bless us later, so that it grows more and more, and the devotees, that place becomes a really tirtha and a place of transformation for so many devotees that are about to join after this Janmashtami. So yes, the program schedule has been already set. It starts at 9 o'clock, and then for the Krishna Prabhu is joining at 9:30 with the class, and of course we'll have a kirtan and prasadam and so on. And apart from that, like yes, we have a lot of feast happening every day. And today there's a feast of Arjun's birthday from Arjun's birthday is there. So yesterday or today, bro? Yesterday. Okay, birthday was yesterday. Everybody can celebrate every day. So we would like to pray the Lord Srila Mandira Giridhari Mahaprabhu, God Nrsimhadev Panchatattva, and our Guru Parampara to serve their choices, blessings upon Arjuna. Like yes, he becomes Paranta, he becomes the sustainer of the enemy, he becomes Pulakes, all those follows the footsteps of the Acharyas and the sincere servant of the Lord Krishna. So let's pray by loudly chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Anybody is here for the first time today? Anybody has come to our center for the first time? Hari Bo. Hari Bo. Anybody has come here for the first time? You come here for this irrigation. Yes, I remember Mataji long time back. Was it 2016, 17? Yeah. Yeah, it's a long time. You see. Yeah, please, Hari Bo. Yes, still would be like a re-welcome you. Please come forward with the pen. All the devotees, please come forward. Collective come forward. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we'll just stand down the Nrsimha and then we'll go. Lakshmipati Nrsimha Bhavan ki Namaste Nrsimha. भगवान की जय।